Hey Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel, and this is just for fun. I know, well, I don't know, there'll be interest in this for sure, but this is not, like these retro figures, I don't always unbox this sort of thing, but this is kind of a landmark thing because it's been so long since we've gotten any kind of vac metal droids that, because look, I know they were part of the 95 relaunch. I know we've gotten vac metal droids a few times in kind of the modern style 3 3/4 inch stuff since then, but it's been a long time since we've seen vac metal like this from Hasbro. So I was very, very excited about this set, but I'm also very excited because I absolutely adore these retro figures. They just bring me a lot of joy. I'm stoked about opening these up and checking them out. There's an element of it bringing me back to my childhood, but there's also an element of, hey, isn't this really what we want from toys in a way? Like art, toys is art, which I don't know what order these are going up, but I recently reviewed the Casey Jones's Phantom of the Opera from NECA, and it's a work of art. It is absolutely a work of art. It's incredible. It's gorgeous. It is, quite frankly, flawlessly executed. But that's a different thing from these, which are toys. And I don't know. I just get really excited with these retro figures. Oh my gosh! Look at this crisp, clean. You guys, this is worth the price of admission just to get. And I know it's not the original vintage figure, and I don't care. Just to get a crisp, clean R2-D2. Look at that guy. Kind of like getting the retro O-Ring Storm Shadow that came out. Just the excitement of seeing a pure white Storm Shadow. Like, oh, I've got a little story about 3PO that I'll share. These are wonderful. I am so happy about these. Although I will say, I hope we do see single releases, because I know, at these price points, because look, I know these are, well, they're $11.99 now, right? Because I think they were $14.99. Well, this set, the price broke down to like $12 a piece, I think. And I think they were $14.99 for like a hot second, and then Hasbro was like, whoops, that was a mistake, sorry fellas, and corrected. I don't know. But I know a lot of people are going to want more than one Tuscan Raider. Not me, because one of each is good for me on these, but hopefully we'll see some kind of single release. Hopefully this line just keeps going, and I want to see prequel stuff. I want to see Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Like, give me that stuff too, and do 6-packs that have the main characters. Do whatever. All right, let's open some toys. I could go on about Star Wars toys for far longer than anybody cares. So the packaging looks pretty cool. I like the fake worn stuff around the edges. I just think it looks neat. It gives it a texture. And look, you're not fooling anybody. Like, nobody thinks these are the original releases. So I like that look. What I don't like, these are stickers. These are stickers. They're awful. They're absolutely awful. These are the reason that I'm not collecting a second set of these mint on card, because this sticker just looks absolutely terrible. And also the cards are just so flimsy. Just really. And maybe the original cards were kind of like this, but I feel like we could do just a little better. But whatever, because you know what I'm doing? I'm opening them up. So, kinda I don't care. But I do feel like they could be a little better. Put a little more into these guys. So, this is bringing the childhood memories back big time. This little Obi-Wan I thought was one of the coolest figures when I was a little Phantom. Little guys are kind of harder to get. Let me move my light here. Let's see if I can get a better look at him. So the portrait is great. I don't have a original Obi-Wan available right now, but to me, this is not about being an exact recreation of the original Obi-Wan Kenobi figure. Or Ben Kenobi. He's Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's about, does this feel right to me? I don't care if it's the same height. I don't care if all the little sculpts, all the little folds in his clothes are sculpted the same. I don't care about any of that. I mean, I care about it to the extent that I don't want anybody to get taken in and buy one of these thinking it's an original. Look at that. You can sit down. It's great. I want it to feel like the original, and this does. Although I will say, I think his arm right here is bent, and it should not be. I think his arm should be straighter right here, but the lightsaber goes up into his arm, and I mean, that's how that works. That always drove me nuts when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, I am fairly certain I cut this little part off of mine. My Luke and my Vader and my Obi-Wan when I was a kid. Look at that lightsaber action. Let's do it from that way his cloak's kind of in the way. I'm not going to be able to do it from that angle. There we go. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I hated this little tip though when I was a kid. And look at this. There's not even not a lick of detail on that lightsaber. It is a brown tube, and that's how things were back then. And we were fine with it. We loved it. Well, okay, I don't know that I was fine with it. I kind of wish it had a little bit of paint, but I mean, this is what we had, and I loved these figures so much. So there is your Ben ObiWan Kenobi. I'm not going to bother. Oh, his cape it's definitely different from the original. It is more, it doesn't feel as cheap. It feels like a better material. It's a little more pliable. It does feel a little bit nicer. And when I was a kid, I feel like mine came with the collar up, because this is supposed to look like the hood on his robe, like down. When I was a kid, or maybe I think my Obi-Wan might have been like this, but my Vader, I think his collar just stood straight up, something like that. All right, so there's Obi-Wan. He's awesome. I love him. Let's move on now to our Tuscan Raider. Oh, I didn't even bother looking at the back of the card because who cares? It's just a mess. It's ugly. Our Tuscan Raider, who to my eye looks like he might be a little bit lighter tan than the original, but again, I do not have an original Tuscan Raider handy to compare, so I can't really tell you. These guys absolutely terrified me when I was a kid. I thought the Tuscan Raiders were horror movie monsters, and now I love them for that, but as a kid it really did kind of freak me out. Let's see. As you can see, he's got paint goes all the way around, which I know you're like, well, of course it does. But you know what? As somebody who collected Jakks WWF figures for years, the paint does not always go all the way around. You can sit down. Got the little pouches, all the nice sculpted detail. Just looks great. Looks great. And then, I don't think this is how the original Tuscan Raider, and you guys tell me in the comments, please. You know I need help sometimes. I don't feel like the original Tuscan Raider did that, did he? That seems different to me, and I would even go so far as to call it an improvement. But now I'm actually wondering if I even had a Tuscan Raider figure. I am not positive about that. But this one looks great. Again, the cape, cloak, whatever you want to call it, is that same material as Obi-Wan's. Looks good. Matches, for this retro style of figure, the color matches well enough, I'm going to say. Let me keep these guys out of the way. I have enough trouble with camera focus. I don't need to worry about somebody standing off to the side. And then, of course, we need a Bantha. I want a Bantha so bad so I can clean its teeth with this Bantha toothpick. Gaffy stick? Gadurfy stick? It's got some kind of wild name. Death Squad Commander. And what a name for a toy to have, right? And they really are going about recreating all the original figures, aren't they? I mean, Hasbro is making some headway in that department. So he's got his great helmet with the dots. Oh, come on, focus. See, this is what I was talking about. He's got the dots on the front of the helmet. He's got his ranking or whatever the little colors are on the front there. His shirt, the way it's cut. His belt with those details. And the camera does not like these little tiny guys. You see his uniform goes down across his legs. Very simple, but as far as I'm concerned, toy perfection. Can sit down, and now the ultimate test. Well, let's, I didn't really look at his portrait. Nice little portrait in there, looks good. The gloves are, the gloves and boots, just matching black, look great, match the helmet. Oh, look at this little timepiece or whatever he's got on his wrist here. There's a detail I had no idea to look for or knew about. And then finally, he's got sort of the standard Imperial blaster that we had back in the day. Shared by so many figures in this line. And hopefully, he can hold it. Oh, perfect. Perfect. So I recently finally opened up that first wave of retro Star Wars figures that came out, and none of them can hold their weapons. It's pathetic, and I'm angry, well, not angry, but like just so disappointed. And they need to be redone so they can hold their weapons, and they're up to the standards of all the retros that have come out since then. But I guess Hasbro just didn't realize, we need to make these work. But all the retros that have come out since that first wave of New Hope figures have been able to hold their accessories very nicely. All right, I'm going to save R2 and 3PO for last. Let's get our Jawa out of here. Our Jawa, which they went with the soft goods version rather than the vinyl cape version, which I think I had the soft goods version when I was a kid. I don't believe I ever had the vinyl cape Jawa, because I remember just loving this little robe that he comes with. Fantastic. It feels very, very close to the one that I had. It's got a little bit of a different feel, I think, but very close to the one I had when I was a kid. Gosh, I would love to have a bunch of these little guys. Hasbro, sell these separately, please, because I don't know that I need more Sand People or more Tuscan Raiders, but I would love to have some more Jawas. Let's see. He's got, look at that paint. Look at the painted detail on this guy. They didn't have to do that, but they did, because that's how the original was. Oh, so good. It's got his little black gloves on, or its little, who knows, Jawa gender. Little black gloves. This is just great. Sits down, look at that. Perfect. Just a tiny little wonderful figure. And you might say, well, it's so small. Why does it cost the same as the other figures? Just, that's how it is. It does. And then this one, I don't remember the Jawa that I had when I was a kid having a gun or a blaster or whatever. But this one does, and it looks great. And it fits right in the hand there perfectly. Like I said, these interact with their accessories. Hasbro has definitely kicked the line up a notch since it started, and I really appreciate that. And I hope it's doing well, because I will buy every 5-point of articulation Star Wars figure Hasbro wants to make, whether it's new media, old stuff, or whatever. All right. Next up, R2-D2, squeaky, clean, bright, shiny, white, vac metal beauty. Oh man, look at that. Now, is it, it is still a sticker, it's not a tampo. He's got his just regular old arms or legs or whatever you want to call them. No articulation in the ankles. Turns up for that great cannon action that I pretended he had when I was a kid. You can still see the screw in there. And that beautiful vac metal dome. This is fantastic. I'm so happy right now. So let's listen. Listen. Oh, it's a little, the click is a little deeper than I remember it being. I remember that click being a little more high pitched, but it's a little more substantive click, like feel wise, than the original R2 had. So there's a little bit of a trade-off. It's, the sound isn't the same, but the act of turning the head is actually a little more satisfying. This is, gorgeous. Gorgeous. And finally, for me, the star of the show, because my story to go along with C-3PO, when I was, this is right after we moved to Georgia from North Carolina. So I was, this would have been 1981. I would have been 5 years old. And we had a show and tell day at school. Oh gosh, he feels right. So we had a show and tell day at school. Look at the just gorgeous gloss on this guy. How would you, if you like toys at all, how would you not want this figure immediately? So anyway, we had a show and tell day at school, and I brought my C-3PO because he was my favorite action figure at the time. And I was wearing some Oshkosh Bagosh overalls because that was the style at the time. And I put him in the front pocket of my Oshkosh Bagosh overalls, and my mom said, "Are you sure you want to carry him there? You know, I feel like something could happen." And I was like, "No, I want to proudly display this glorious, shiny protocol droid in my front Oshkosh Bagosh overall pocket." And put him in there, got to school, did the show and tell, showed him this incredible glossy golden droid that I'm sure they all had. But I feel like maybe my verbal skills made him a little more impressive. People seemed enraptured. I don't remember a negative response, and believe me, I got enough negative responses when I was in school to know what one sounds like. So I think everybody was suitably impressed with him. Put him back in my Oshkosh Bagosh overall pocket, and, you know, finished out the day, rode home on the bus, and when I got home, his hand was gone, snapped off. And I want to say there was like black plastic underneath. I'm not positive what color plastic is under this vac metal. Well, it was under the original vac metal. But I want to say it was like black plastic. And I don't remember crying, but I remember being very, very upset. And I think my mom comforted me by saying, "Well, I told you so." I think that was the extent of the comfort I got. She was right. She did tell me so, and I should have listened. Always listen to your mother. So there we have a gorgeous C-3PO, a delightful R2-D2, a nostalgic Ben ObiWan Kenobi, an adorable little Jawa, a terrifying Tuscan Raider, and finally an Imperial Death Squad commander, or Death Squad trooper, Death Squad commander. I couldn't be happier with these toys. This set of 6 figures has brought me as much joy as anything else I've opened in the past month or longer. They feel great. They're exciting. They're fun to look at. They're fun to play with. Hasbro, please keep making these for as long as you can. And I want to see some new stuff too. Like, finish out the original set of figures for sure. But I want to see, some of the new stuff. I want to see the prequels. I want to see more. You know, we're getting Mandalorian and stuff like that. But I want lots and lots of these guys. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about needless things. And until next time, may the Force be with you. Always.
Smash that like button if you like needless things.